new construction or existing homes? I get this question all the time from buyers, so I figured I'd make a video for you. Now we're going to cover a couple different topics on them, like the cost, the maintenance, and a bunch of others. But before we get started, if it's your first time to the channel and you're new here, welcome. My name is Steve McCutcheon, and I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway. On the Live in Central New Jersey channel, we cover everything related to the Central Jersey real estate market. So if you're the first one to know what's going on in either Monmouth or Ocean County real estate, feel free to click the bell, hit the subscribe button. Let's get the video started. Now, typically on the channel, we usually cover just the two counties like I mentioned in the intro, but I figured I'd broaden it up a little bit just for one video and just give you an idea of what it's like to buy either new construction or existing home sales. So there's pretty much like 5 different topics we're going to cover today. The first one we're going to go through is just the time frame of them. So obviously with a new construction, your time is going to vary heavily on this. Now, there also can be delays throughout the process when you're trying to build new construction. Typically, at least from what I've seen in my area, if you're buying a home or buying a plot of land for the home that has not been built on at all, you're looking at probably about a 6 to 9 month period. That's going to be by typically like a builder that's going to be around for a while, like a Toll Brothers, K. Horvanian, someone like that. It's not going to be like your individual custom build person that you find or just get like a recommendation through a friend. So I would say 9 months is probably closer to the average on that. Can be a little bit shorter, can be also be a little bit longer too, maybe if weather's going to be an annoying habit there. So we live in Jersey, we get all 4 seasons, rain, winter, snow, all that kind of stuff. So on average, I would say look for new construction about 9 months, maybe up to a year, maybe as short as 6. But on the other side of things, ask the builders too if they have any quick builds that are going on. Sometimes these builders will have different homes already going up. If that's the case, you can kind of sometimes pick the finishes that haven't been done yet, and then your time frame is going to be dramatically less than what it would be if you to buy a plot of land and then just build up from the ground up. Now, what about the time frame on existing home sales? Well, obviously, you don't have to worry about it being built. It's already standing. So that's not going to be an issue. But how long does it take you to close on a home here in Jersey, for instance? We do things a little differently. I know most states don't always have attorneys involved. We do from start to finish. So you're going to have an offer acceptance, attorney review period, and then you can start your inspections, appraisals, and other things that go on through a real estate transaction. Now, with mortgages, obviously, let's just do this. Cash transactions can obviously happen much faster because you don't have to worry about the mortgage contingency. So you basically would just go as fast as the attorneys and title would let you. Then if you are getting a mortgage, which a lot of people typically do, I would say your average closing time in New Jersey is about 45 days, basically from start to finish. I'm doing a transaction right now. We're trying to push it and go between like 25 to 28 days. We'll see how that one goes out or how that one turns out. But most times about 45 days, just because the mortgage processing takes a little bit of time in the deader months of real estate. So right now during the winter time, late November, December, January, it is possible to go a little bit shorter because there's not as many loans in underwriting at the time. So you just ask your lender about that. Next up is going to be the customization. Now, obviously, if you're buying a resale home, you really can't customize anything before you head into it. The seller or owner is not going to go paint the room that you want your child's bedroom to be, or they're going to be, you know, if an inspection item comes up, then they'll have to kind of address something, right? So if the HVAC is broken and it's the middle of the summer or the middle of the winter, they will have to address that in order before they hand the home over to you. But they could also just credit you the money and you use it towards realistically whatever you want at that point, but theoretically go towards whatever item or inspection item that's going to be broken. So customization on an existing home, realistically not really too much going on there. On the new construction side, however, there's going to be a lot of customizable options. Some of the builders have pulled back a little bit on this just because it does have a little bit of buyer fatigue to it. I know my parents bought new construction years and years ago, back in the early 2000s. They bought through Toll Brothers. And my mom, she always loves telling the story, but it's basically the fact that throughout the entire process, by the time you get to the end of it and you're just tired of making decisions, you're willing to just do whatever at this point is either cheapest or just looks like you're basically just fatigued out. You don't want to make any more decisions on what's going into this home. So I've seen some builders kind of give packages. So for instance, I think it's K. Horvanian maybe, they'll do a farm style kind of a home and then they'll do maybe a more modern update. And this way you have 3 different styles to pick from, and all this finer details are already picked out by the company themselves, and you're just going to go with that package. So that's kind of nice. On the other hand, there's also going to be some builders where you can still pick every different object that you want in the home or every different style, color of this, color of that, maybe a rug instead of a hardwood floor, whatever the case is. So with a new construction build, especially if you're building from the ground up, you will have a lot more customizable options to it. The third topic is going to be just the neighborhoods themselves. When you're buying an existing home, typically the neighborhood itself should be more established, right? You're not going to have tractors or anything rolling down, doing some construction, a bulldozer or anything like that. So it should be a little bit quieter. You're not going to see dust flying all over the place, and you're just going to have an overall, I guess, better neighborhood itself, or much more curb appeal to it. You're going to have trees, landscaping, that kind of thing. A lot of time, people also don't realize the amenities are already in place too. So when you buy an existing home, existing neighborhood, you should be closer to what you need to get to, right? All the different shops in the area should already be built, the strip malls, food stores, and that kind of thing. And then last, for the resales, the lot sizes. I don't know if you've noticed this recently, at least I have here in Jersey. It might be different in other places, but a lot of the time, whether it's the townhomes or even just the single families, well, I guess definitely single families, because they seem to be closer together in a sense, whereas I feel like with the existing home sales, more if you're looking in a suburban neighborhood, the homes are going to be spaced out much farther. You have a little bit more privacy to it. Whereas these new construction lots, sometimes the builders, obviously, they're in this for profit and they want to make as much money. So you're going to see more homes probably in a closer area than you typically would, right? I know I just did an adult community for new construction a while back. That one's over in Manalapan. And some of the homes seemed like they were only maybe 12, 15 feet apart at the absolute most. So just something to kind of think about lot size wise. And a lot of what I just mentioned for the existing home sales is pretty much going to be the opposite of what it's going to be like for a new construction. If you're buying early on in the development, you might have to deal with a lot of noise in the beginning, right? You're going to hear people hammering and stapling roofs together, maybe some tractors or bulldozers like I mentioned before, just rolling down the street on you. Maybe you get a nail in your tire. I don't know. There's going to be a little bit more disturbance when you're living in the beginning of a new construction zone versus obviously a home that's already established. It's going to be much more peaceful for that aspect. And then like you just kind of talked about the lot sizes. Not every new construction is going to be much smaller, but at least what it feels like lately is this kind of what they're going to do. With townhomes, really can't go either way. You're going to be attached, so you're obviously going to be connected to your neighbor, but maybe the yard behind you is going to be smaller than some other areas might be as well. So just some nuances to buying new construction, just neighborhood themselves, and sometimes with the amenities, like we said before, with the established neighborhoods and how they're probably pretty close. If you're in a new construction zone, you might be a little bit more off the beaten path and farther away. So if you have to go get to the food store or the convenience store, like a Walgreens, CVS, whatever the case is, you might be a little bit farther than what you typically would be buying in a resale development. Then not to say it's going to be like that forever, but it might be like that for the short term, 1, 2, 3 years. The fourth topic is going to be the maintenance. Now, when you're buying an existing home, this is going to be a big one in my opinion. And you should budget some money depending on the age of the home itself, right? Obviously, you should be getting an inspection. Please don't buy a home without getting one done. But if you have to waive a couple contingencies on it and only worry about the big items, try to find some ages out on as them best you can, right? How old is the roof going to be? Is it towards the end of its life expectancy? The hot water heater, furnace, AC, a lot of those big items, right? Because those can be very costly repairs. For someone that's just buying a home, you probably spent a lot of your money already and you're not really expecting something to break right away. So that's going to be one thing. And then two, how about just the update of the house itself? When you're moving into a home, you're going to probably want to make it exactly the way you want it to be, right? Or you have to just do some cosmetic renovations to it because the kitchen's older and you're willing to take that on. But that comes at an added cost as well. So just be ready to spend a little bit more money on an existing home that's already someone that's already living in it to update to your personal taste. And just kind of a highly recommended note on this one: if you are moving into a place and you don't have to move in, it's the same day you're selling and you have maybe a couple weeks in between even, highly recommend getting everything you want done right away if you can. Obviously, if it's going to be a bigger project, you can't. But I know for myself and my wife, when we bought our first place, we were saying, oh, that carpet's definitely going, right? And the second you move into the place, you get a little bit comfortable. All the furniture's in there. I can guarantee that carpet 2.5 years later is still here. Now, what's the maintenance going to look like on a new construction home? Well, theoretically, it should pretty much be zero, right? Everything that you're putting into the home should be customized into your liking, so you wouldn't have to worry about the typical renovation moving into a new place. And on the other side of things, everything's brand new. The roof's 0 years old. The hot water heater, all the big ticket items, they should all be brand spanking new. So theoretically, shouldn't break down. Now, can a furnace absolutely just crap the bed 3 years in? No doubt about it. I've seen it happen. It is definitely rare, on the more rare side though, so you shouldn't have to budget necessarily towards that. On top of it, when you're buying a new construction home versus buying a resale, most times builders are going to have warranties on the place, whether it's a 5-year, 10-year, and sometimes they might be a little staggered. Certain items are only covered for 5 years, other ones covered for 10. You just kind of have to see how that works, but that should also lower your maintenance expenses on top of it. On the resale side of things, they do have home warranties. Not everyone's going to include one with their sale. Honestly, right now, with the last 4 years and the way the market's been, most sellers aren't going to because it's not needed to help sell their home. So maintenance-wise, a new construction should be a lot less than an existing home's going to be. So probably the moment you've all been waiting for, and that's going to be the cost. Now, with new constructions, they are going to be more expensive than existing home sales. You are going to pay more of a premium than you will be for a home that's already existing. And there's a couple different reasons why. We already mentioned a few, like the maintenance item's not going to be done. And obviously just everything's brand new. It's going to be more expensive than something that's built years and years ago, right? So on top of this, there's a couple of different other things that you want to talk about. So for examples, I would say in our area alone, if you're looking at a single family home, probably looking at about $700,000 at the minimum, and that might even be base price for some. We'll get into that in a second. More times than not, though, you're probably looking at $850,000, $900,000 is probably like the ballpark range for a single family home. Then when it comes to pricing, we just said, Some of these new construction builders will do base prices and then build everything into it. So every time you upgrade and get a premium item, your base price will jump up. So you might go from 700. Okay, you want to add in a finished basement. Okay, you're at 750 now. Outdoor patio, 775, 750. I don't know, whatever the number might be. And that's just not big items like that. It could just be you're updating the granite countertops, maybe a double oven, something along those lines. So anytime you build it into it, you might have to pay more for it. And sometimes you have to even come out of pocket right up front. The other option is going to be that these builders just have everything into one price. This is the model that you're getting. You're getting a finished home, finished basement, the patio is going to be on there, and this is like the final price. So sometimes you might see a difference in homes and you're like, oh, this one's only $750 and this one's $950. Like what's the big difference? They offer the same thing. Well, one's making you pay it, one's basically optional, the other one's going to make you pay it up front. And one thing I forgot to mention real quick, guys, when you're doing new constructions, also make sure you get a home inspection on those. Just like you would do on a resale one. I know it seems kind of weird that like, oh, everything's brand new, what could be wrong? Trust me, I'm sure if you've not been on Instagram or TikTok, there's actually one really good home inspector that focuses on new construction, and he'll make these videos of everything that goes wrong. And it's very true, it does happen. So make sure you use an independent inspector before buying new construction. Don't trust the builder's guy or anything like that. Just find your own person. I'm sure your realtor, if you're using one, has plenty of different inspectors, and just go that route, because otherwise, you might get stuck having to fix different cosmetic issues that the builder would have to do, versus once you take ownership of the property, it might be your responsibility if it's not like one of those big maintenance items that are covered under the warranty. One of the biggest things with buying new construction is going to be the tax bills, and I can't stress this enough for people that don't realize it, and all of a sudden they are paying a lot more monthly than they originally thought they were going to. Now, your lender should be talking to you about this regardless, but let's just say you're buying all cash, you're not speaking to a lender. What happens with this? Well, when you're buying new construction and your property tax bill is coming up, you'll see something that's called assessed value. So that's what they base it off of. Most towns are anywhere between about like 1% and 2%, at least here in New Jersey. It could be much different in your area. There are some cheaper parts of the United States other than Jersey, so I wouldn't be shocked there. And I know we are one of the higher states. So let's say you're buying an $800,000 house, and the town that you're buying in, their property or their assessment rate is at 1.5%. So what you would do is you just take the 800,000, multiply it by 1.5%, and it should be about $12,000 in taxes for the year. The problem is, what people don't realize is when you're buying new construction, it's broken down into two categories. Assessed value is going to be land and building. Obviously, when you're buying new construction from the ground up, the only thing that's going to be assessed originally is the land. They haven't done the building yet because there's nothing built there. And that's why everything jumps up so dramatically for you. So just be aware that buying new construction, tax bill is going to increase heavily after the first year. And on the existing home side of things, obviously it's going to be cheaper than new construction. How much cheaper? Well, for instance, in Monmouth County, the average home sale right now we have based on our MLS is about like $675, and it's it varies pretty much anywhere between about $650 and $700 for the year, just kind of depending on how far into the year we are. But with that being said, if a new construction base price is $750, you're already on the cheaper side. And by the time you add everything into it, maybe look at $900,000 versus $650, $700. So if you want a little bit cheaper of an option, you can buy the new existing home, pump maybe $100,000 into it if it costs that much and you're able to do so, and then make it more customizable to yourself afterwards. That's always a potential option too, and it should be on the cheaper side versus the new construction. But on the other side of things, the new construction, everything's done already, you move right in. So there's no construction, there's no time frame that you have to do. There's no big projects. You're like living in a construction zone yourself inside. So existing home sales will be cheaper than new construction will be, but all the different drawbacks or potential pros or cons that we've just mentioned throughout the video, you just kind of have to weigh them yourself. So those are going to be the top 5 differences between buying new construction and buying existing home sales. So with that being said, if you're looking to move to the area and you found some value here, please feel free to reach out. All my contact information is down low in the comments and description. So whether you're 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, even a year out, it doesn't matter to me. Let's just get you on the right path towards your real estate goals. And if you're looking to move to a different part of the Central Jersey area, check out 2 videos popping up and hopefully help you out a little bit too. Have a great day.